If there was ever a city that made even the gods bow their heads, it was Ur. And if there is a place where history was buried so deep that humanity forgot who we once were, that too is Ur. Beneath the scorching sands of southern Iraq lies a world long forgotten, not just scattered ruins or weathered inscriptions, but the very cradle of civilization. A place where, for the first time, humankind discovered law, religion, cities, and sacred authority. Ur, an ancient city once whispered about in the same breath as legends, today reduced to a faded footnote in textbooks. But over 4,000 years ago, it was the center of the known world, a place where kings ruled not only with armies, but with divine right, a bridge between earth and the heavens. And at the heart of this majestic city stood a towering monument reaching toward the sky, the Ziggurat of Ur, not a mere temple, but a sacred stairway built so the gods themselves could descend from the heavens. Today we won't just uncover bricks and stones. We'll be digging into something far deeper, a forgotten memory etched into the soul of humanity. Because the story of Ur isn't just about the past. It's a mirror reflecting the true essence of who we are as a civilization. So ask yourself, are you ready to step into a world where the line between human and divine was once dangerously thin? Hold on to that curiosity, because what you're about to hear may just change the way you see history and yourself forever. Ur is not just a faded name etched into a cracked clay tablet. It is not merely an archaeological site lost beneath the sands of time. Ur is the first true footprint of organized human thought, the place where humanity stood upright, looked to the sky, and first dared to ask, who are we? Over 4,000 years ago, while most of the world still wandered in survival mode, clinging to the rhythms of nature and instinct, Ur burned like a torch in the Mesopotamian desert, nestled between the mighty Tigris and Euphrates rivers, in the land once called the Cradle of Civilization. Ruins of Ur shone half submerged in sand but overlaid with glowing architectural lines, symbols of life, as if history itself is reawakening, ancient sketch aesthetic on aged papyrus background. This is where writing was born, not to write poetry, but to track debts, issue laws, and structure society. This is where law was carved into stone, where architecture rose not just for shelter, but for worship, where humans didn't merely live. They began to dream of eternity. From scattered riverside villages, people gathered, built walls, temples, and finally, a true urban empire. Ur was humanity's first great leap, from survival to structure, from instinct to intention, from chaos to order. And if you want to understand how modern civilization came to be, you cannot ignore Ur, because Ur isn't just a relic of the past, it is the root of everything we are living today. Around 3800 BCE, while most of humanity still lived scattered in riverside huts and tribal encampments, Ur had already become a thriving metropolis, home to tens of thousands, a number so large for its time, it would have felt like an ancient New York, rising from the desert sands. But Ur wasn't just a cluster of homes. It was a designed city. It had residential quarters, busy markets, sacred temples, irrigation canals that harnessed the rivers, and public spaces where people gathered to trade, worship, and make collective decisions. Yet beyond its physical structure, Ur was a spiritual center, a city where people lived with the constant awareness that they were being watched by the gods. Their supreme deity was Nana, the ancient and mysterious moon god, worshipped through rituals, music, burning incense, and the blood of devotion. Can you picture it? A silent night under the Mesopotamian sky, the moon rising high over baked brick walls as priests ascend the temple steps. Incense curls into the wind, sacred hymns echo across the desert, and prayers, whispered or cried, float upward into the heavens. How do we know all this? Because Ur speaks to us still in its own voice, in the thousands of cuneiform tablets left behind, in the clay bricks stamped with the names of ancient kings, and above all, in one structure that continues to silence even modern visitors with its presence, the Ziggurat of Ur, a declaration in stone from a civilization bold enough to believe it could speak with the gods. Among all the monumental structures that once rose from the sands of ancient Mesopotamia, none is more mysterious, more hauntingly powerful than the Ziggurat of Ur. Built around 2100 BCE by King Ur-Nammu, this was not just a feat of ancient engineering, it was a declaration to the universe. Standing nearly 100 feet tall, the ziggurat was not a tomb like the pyramids of Egypt. It was not built to send off the dead. It was built to receive the gods. A sacred stairway where sky met earth, where the divine could descend and touch the realm of mortals. The structure rose in layers, tier by tier, like a man-made mountain forged from desert dust. Its core was composed of sun-dried and kiln-fired bricks, bound together with bitumen, a dense, tar-like substance, Mesopotamia's version of ancient asphalt, heavy, dark, eternal. At its summit stood a shrine, reserved only for the high priests and royalty. Ordinary people were forbidden to ascend. They could only stand below, gazing upward, waiting, praying, hoping the gods would hear. Can you picture it? The red sun setting over the desert horizon, smoke rising in coils from the temple's peak. Priests robed in ceremonial garments climbing step by sacred step as chants echo across the plain, drums thunder like the heartbeat of the city. The ziggurat was not merely a religious monument, it was the axis of the cosmos, the bridge between human and divine. It was built to awe, to instill reverence, and to engrave in every soul their place within a sacred order that stretched from dust to stars. This wasn't just power. This was sacred power, cast in brick, sealed with ritual, and built upon an unshakable belief that once the gods truly walked among us. At the height of its glory, under the rule of the Third Dynasty, Ur was not merely a great city. It was the capital of a divine world made manifest on earth. Kings like Ur-Nammu and Shulgi didn't just rule, they claimed to be the living embodiment of gods. They did not seek permission from men. They issued the world's first written laws, even before Hammurabi. They built roads and canals, connecting the entire Mesopotamian plain, governing not just with politics, but with a sacred authority that transcended mortal power. These were not kings in the way we understand them today. They were believed to be chosen by the gods, emissaries of the cosmos, the center of all order, But no dynasty lasts forever. Around 2000 BCE, Ur collapsed, not just under the swords of invaders, but under the weight of climate change, internal unrest, and the slow erosion of time. A civilization that once believed itself immortal was buried in sand and forgotten by the memory of mankind. Until the 20th century, when Sir Leonard Woolley, a British archaeologist, first peeled back the layers of time in the 1920s and 1930s. And from beneath centuries of silence, Ur spoke once more, through its ruins, through its bricks, and through a history that had never truly been told. Why does Ur still matter today? Because it was from this very place that humanity first laid the foundation stones of the world we live in. Writing, cuneiform, organized religion, codified law, urban governance, and the profound belief that a god watches from above, all of it began in Ur. Pause and think. The next time you gaze up at a modern skyline, or walk into a synagogue, a cathedral, or an ancient temple, know that you are standing in the echo of Ur. You are brushing against the thoughts of people who lived more than 4,000 years ago, people who dared to impose order on chaos, to structure the world, to reach for the heavens, and to build eternity out of mud and clay. Ur is no longer just a city. It is a living memory embedded within our very civilization, silent, enduring, eternal. Ur was never lost. It lives in every brick we lay, every law we write, and every sky we look up to. So now I want to hear from you. If you could walk the streets of Ur 4,000 years ago, what would you want to see? The markets, the ziggurat, a royal banquet. Drop a comment and let's imagine this lost world together. And if ancient civilizations fascinate you, if you want to understand where we truly come from, then you're in the right place. Hit subscribe and ring that bell, because we're just getting started. Next week, we're diving into the Sumerian myths that inspired stories from the Bible to modern fantasy. History isn't dead. It's buried, waiting for us to uncover it. And remember, the past isn't behind us, it's beneath us.